Hey, Scandal Squad. Welcome back to the channel, Celebrity Scandalist. Thank you guys for joining today. So y'all know I have been boots on the ground in New York. I'm so exhausted. It has been a whirlwind. There's no court for the last today and on Monday because of the holidays. So I'm actually back home in California. I plan to go back out there, but it has just been a whirlwind. I mean, when I tell you it's been amazing, it's been awesome. It's just been a lot. But anyway, so we're going through this process and we're sitting in, and it's interesting because some of the things that I hear or the tweets that that you guys get, sometimes they don't align with kind of what we're hearing, being in the courtroom. There are nuances that I think you kind of miss or whatever, and I see, and I'm of course not knocking anybody, but sometimes it's like people are like, hey Ericy, welcome, please hit that like button. It's just, hey Michael M, welcome. Oh, Detroit checking in. Okay, we got Detroit. Ericy, where are you checking in from? I'm checking in back in California, sunny California, y'all, because it's raining back in New York. And I'm happy to be back home. I was looking for the rats. Everybody told me about the rats, but surprisingly, I didn't see any. Maybe when I go back. But there's just been, they're all, so when we're in the courtroom, and I haven't done a lot of videos because Detroit, 2 people from Detroit, that's crazy. Glad you guys are checking in then from Detroit. I've never been to Detroit before. Maybe one day. So when we were in the court, there's just, there are attorneys all over the place, legal analysts and everything. And, my background has solely been on the secretarial side. So, it's amazing for me because I get to literally sit in court and see the kind of work that I historically did and how it's playing out in court. When you're a litigation secretary, there's never a reason for you to go sit in a proceeding or a court or anything. So this has been fun for me to really see how it plays out. And people are asking, I mean, there's just a lot of information like, what do you think? Do you think Diddy is guilty or whatever? I'm going to say it like this. Based on just what I think in terms of the court, it's still too soon to say because we have about 4 more weeks to go, something like that approximately. So there's still some evidence that we haven't seen, victims we haven't heard from, and they're methodically trying to lay out a case. The problem that I have personally is I don't know a lot about RICOs. I'm just learning. This is something that I am becoming familiar with. So I'm learning like a lot of other people. And so my gut instinct, just everything I've heard about the feds, and this is not necessarily based on the evidence that we're hearing, is that they're very hard to defeat. They got the 6-pack in the front, so there's the 6 women, but Diddy has a team of, I think now it's probably 9 or 10. So the 6-pack, there's 6 women in the front and 2 rows behind, 2 panels. The other team is Diddy. So he has a formidable team. He's got a lot on his side. However, statistically, it's not in his favor. So I'm just kind of listening to people who have more experience than I have on these kind of cases. I don't know much about federal criminal indictments and things like that, but I know enough about the law to kind of be able to understand some of the things that they're saying. So what I thought we should do, because here's the thing, as we're listening to the evidence, both sides, opposing counsel and the government attorneys who have been doing this for years, they are not even agreeing upon whether or not this is a true RICO. The one thing that people are agreeing is that Diddy was not a good person. His publicist has said that. His attorneys, the defense side, they've said that was part of their opening argument, that Diddy's not a great guy. He was a horrible boss. He was a horrible boyfriend, and that this was domestic violence. But does it rise to the level of RICO charges? So that has been the great debate. And honestly, I don't feel that I'm knowledgeable enough to really make that determination yet, just based on the evidence that we have. So what I want to do, I mean, because trust me, we've sat next to the Lisa Blooms, the Gloria Allred, all of these people, and they got differing opinions. People are scrambling, taking their notes. You have some attorneys saying, no, this is not. And they are saying Diddy is terrible. Diddy did some bad things, but this is not that. So I don't know. So what I want to do is kind of go through what a RICO is from the perspective of like an attorney explaining it to law students, because this is how they learn. They have a professor, they go through law school and they explain it to them. And so that way we'll have a better understanding. And then I'm going to play a video about from Inner City Press, which is Matthew Lee. He is the person, one of the court reporters or journalists who has been in the court. And those are the legal tweets. For the people who are not in the court, it's his tweets that are driving the narrative and what people are learning, that what's happening in the courtroom. So I want to get his perspective. He covers these cases. He's been doing this for years. He's actually an attorney, and it's his tweets for the people who cannot be in the courtroom that is really painting the picture for thousands of people. So let's get started and let's look at this attorney kind of break down a RICO, because like I said, some people say, oh, to have a RICO, you need more than one person. From as I'm starting to read and get a better understanding, it needs to be maybe one person can be indicted who is part of an enterprise. And remember, Diddy's Bad Boy Entertainment, that would be the enterprise. You can't have one person indicted, but don't listen to me. Let's listen to an expert say it.
RICO, the corrupt organizations. I'm going to give you a general overview. I'm going to try to cram it into 10 minutes or less. Good luck. I don't always make it. But this is kind of the basics, the frameworks that you need to know about RICO, how the statute works. And this used to be the law that they used to bring down the mobsters. This was passed in 1970, signed by Richard Nixon, of all people. And this was designed to bring down the mobsters, because prior to that, they had to go and sue every single mobster individually, and it became a big hassle. So they passed a law in 1970 say,
and so I think a lot of people are still thinking in the traditional thoughts as to what a RICO was, that it was related to mob bosses and the mafia, but it has expanded and it has taken on like a new precedent, so to speak. So let's listen.
We got to have a better way to do this. We got to be able to go after these enterprises, these corrupt enterprises, go after the people that are associated with it, the enterprise itself, and do it in one action. And that's why we have the RICO law. So without further ado, let's head to the Attorney Steve litigation whiteboard. All right, so this is RICO. This is going to be as quick as I can do for an overview. This is general legal information only, not legal advice. This is not going to cover all the nuances. There are so many nuances. It can depend on the jurisdiction that you're in, your state law. It depends on so many things, okay? So this is just a general overview, and let's leave it at that, okay? So what do we have here? RICO. I'm trying to break this down for you. If you're a law student or you have a RICO on your exam, you have the RICO enterprise. This is comprised of some kind of enterprise. It can be people. It can be an organization, a corporation. As I note here, it could be a legal or an illegal organization, such as Enron. If you all remember Enron, that was a legal organization for quite some time until you know what happened, the House of Cards.
So just based on what he's saying, the legal organization or enterprise would be Bad Boy. So there is an enterprise. Remember, they make reference in the complaint, or in the indictment rather, the enterprise. So Bad Boys, the enterprise, Diddy's overarching companies. Okay, so we have an enterprise, we have like an organization, we have that,
and we have cases like the Varsity Blues. If you guys haven't seen that, check out my video. It's really good on the Varsity Blues. It's the college cheating scandal, where you had this RICO organization of schools, all these top schools, USC, UCLA, Harvard, Stanford, Yale, all these companies trying to get their kids in, the famous actors trying to get their kids into these great schools without having the credentials. Okay, so I did a video on that. You got to watch it if you don't know anything about it. It's pretty fascinating just to begin with. So it could be all kinds of different associations of people and entities trying to do a common enterprise, common purpose, and doing illegal things as we have under the act here. So a real quick way to think of the RICO statute is you have the enterprise, you need a violation of 2 or more of these predicate acts that we'll talk about in a second, and it needs to constitute a pattern of racketeering activity, a pattern. Okay, there has to be.
Okay, and so as with the opening arguments from the government, they said that they would set forth and establish the RICO charges by establishing the bribery. I don't have my notes with everything, but when he's talking about the predicate acts, they literally went through and talked about how they were going to, talk about the various things, the trafficking, and I think it was forced labor, and just the criminal activity. So, and those would need to be 2 predicate acts.
Be some kind of pattern, not isolated. There has to be some sort of arrangement and connections, continuity and relationship, as we talk about. And so if you have this and this and this, and you meet one of the grounds for liability over here, which I'll talk about, 1962 A to D, you have one of those liability grounds, and you have these predicate acts, ongoing criminal enterprise, racketeering, shall we say, racketeering enterprise, then you can get over here to damages. The damage is both criminal liability for the actors up to 20 years, possibly more, 25,000 in fines and fees, forfeiture of assets, things like that. And importantly, in my world, civil lawsuits, and civil lawsuits can be up to 3 times treble damages. So if you lost $100,000, it could be 300,000 plus attorney fees, so forth and so on. Okay, so it's a nice statute. This says shall award 3 times. That's what makes it really nice. That's why we are seeing some trade secret cases brought under this section. Okay, what I call criminal.
So you guys, I mean, as people debate whether or not this is a real RICO trial or whether this is a pure RICO indictment, if you listen to what he said, he even talked about criminal RICOs being related to kids whose parents were trying to get college exams passed. So now just think about it. If they are able to make a jump or a leap to put RICO charges against, I don't know if it was the colleges, but I do remember the case that happened where they had the celebrities trying to get their kids into Yale and they were falsifying exams and stuff like that. If they're able to do it for something like that, you guys don't think they can do it for Bad Boys? I mean, it's just a question. I'm just throwing it out there.
Criminal IP. So let's start back here at the beginning. So you have the organization, and excuse me here. You have the organization, and it can be insiders, your officers, your directors, your officials, board of directors, anybody that's involved or associated in the common enterprise that's performing these racketeering predicate acts, common purpose, and there can be some kind of structure. It doesn't have to be a formal hierarchy, but some kind of structure to the organization so that it actually can be perceived as an organization. And you may have some outsiders as well, your accountants, your lawyers. Now, a lot of times these accountants, lawyers, auditors, they'll try to say, well, we're just separate, we're not part of that. And that may be true. They may be what's called a true outsider, but they could also be deemed maybe like a partial outsider, someone that's engaging in the servicing, providing bogus services. Okay, just, yeah, right, sure. That was an audit. Yeah, doubt it. That was pretty, you didn't see all those red flags. That's horrific. Or they're intertwined, or they're engaged in managerial decisions, or these outsiders were essential to pulling off the predicate acts. Okay, so that is just real loosely, you need an enterprise in these RICO cases, some kind of enterprise. There it is. And again, like I said, it could be legal or illegal entity. It could be some drug traffickers. It could be the cartels. It could be all, human traffickers, anything. Okay. So that's real quick, real basic, general, what we're talking about with an enterprise. Violation of 2 or more predicate acts. So it could be two of these, could be one of these, could be a combination of 2 or more, could be 50, could be 100 different acts, could be anything. Pleading is really important in these cases. You want to plead everything you know with specificity, especially if you're dealing with fraudulent type of conduct. Fraud usually needs to be pled to a higher standard, clear and convincing, very specific factual allegations. So pleading is
okay. So I'm going to just stop right there. So when he talks about the predicate acts, and again, I'm going off the top of my head, arson. We have arson. Remember Kid Cudi's. This is what the government is outlining. These are some of the predicate acts that they're trying to establish. We have the arson with Kid Cudi, and we have the kidnapping. That's why the hotel video with Cassie running down the hall and Diddy snatching her bag, that's why it was so important for them to use that video, because they're saying that they were engaging in a freak off during that encounter, like when he did that to her. Now, personally, I'm kind of, you guys, and let me make notes because I forget stuff. I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not that was really a freak off. It could have been. We do know that Diddy, beat up on her a lot, but I feel like, and we know that Cassie, probably got immunity or some kind of a proffer agreement. A lot of the people that are testifying did not want to testify against Diddy. Some of them were, because they would have been co-defendants, so they had to flip, right? So I feel that the government is I feel that it's kind of dictatorial. It's like, okay, well, you did this with him. Was that a freak off you were involved with? So I need to go back to the complaint and read how she described it. Was she saying that they were in the midst of a freak off, or did she just describe it as we had a fight at the hotel? Because see, all that makes a difference, because remember, the government, the feds, came to her 2 weeks after she filed that suit or settled with Diddy. So I feel that because they wanted him, they're able to lead some of the witnesses and the alleged victims. I feel like there's some leading. And I mean, this happens all the time. Doesn't mean Diddy's not guilty. Trust me. We know that there's no doubt that this man did what he did to her. But the Predicate Act so far that the government is establishing is arson, kidnapping, and also extortion. Now, extortion, blackmail, that would be when Diddy was made Cassie's mother send him that $20,000 allegedly. That could also be the bribery or extortion, however you want to look at it. And then there's also the forced labor. Well, let me see. He doesn't list the forced labor in here, so I'm going to leave that out. But as we know, they've already brought up 3 incidents or 3 acts that maybe they can say are predicate acts. So let's go back to what he's saying.
Definitely an art form in here. So let's take a look at these predicate acts. If you say we got the enterprise, I'm not concerned. We have the enterprise here, piece of cake. We need to look at section 1961. The law falls under 18 USC, United States Code, 1961 to 1968. Down here, 1961, there's 2 different ways. There's actually 5 different ways. This section goes to section G, but a lot of those things are not commonly litigated. So I'm going to talk about the ones that are commonly litigated. Section A and Section B. These are violations of state law. These are violations of specific federal laws under Title 18 of the United States Code. So let's start over here. These state statutes, they're looking for 2 or more predicate acts within 10 years. Note that, within a 10-year period, okay? And that's why we talk about it needs to be some kind of pattern.
Okay, you guys. Now, based on what he's saying, there needs to be a violation. The predicate acts need to be violated within the last 10 years. Now, just off the top of my brain, most of the things that Diddy did to these people were over a decade ago. So that's something I got to go back. Let me make a note. So the RICO have been committed within 10 years. And that's interesting, because I thought a lot like the arson, the hotel situation, that would have just been over. Okay, that would have been within the 10 years, I believe. Anyway, I don't want to just do it off the top of my head. But so there's a statute of limitations. So we know that. And then so he's being specific in terms of what the state laws are versus the federal. And to be honest, just based on the government's arguments of what they're trying to present to us, they have presented what could be considered the predicate acts, but it just depends on what how the jury's going to see it.
Just, one over here, this was this, that was that. There needs to be some sort of pattern of racketeering conduct. But I broke this down for you. I made a little, what do you call it, mnemonic or whatever. Brockage, okay? Brockage. These are the main state laws. These are things that.
So Ty, hey Ty, welcome to the chat. So here's the thing with the video of Cassie. She says that it was in the commission of a freak off. However, Diddy, the defense is saying that it was not, that it was a argument in which she took his cell phone and she was trying to leave the hotel. So it has not clearly been established. It depends on who the jury believes. And it's going to, at this point, the government has told us that it was in commission of a freak off, that it was a freak off. But again, Diddy's side is denying that. So we don't know. It just depends on what you believe. And you're right. That's what the state, that's what the government wants us to believe, is that video was during a freak off, and that would be the trafficking and the kidnapping because he forced her to go back. So yeah.
That are, I think we can all agree, are just horrible, horrible things to commit. And if these are basically what we call an act or a threat, punishable by 1 year or more in jail, that's what we call a felony. Any of these would qualify for a predicate act, okay? These indictable acts. So I have them down here, brockage. If you're wondering what brockage means, it's a coin that was improperly minted. Don't ask me why I picked this. I thought I had it, and then I forgot murder, so I had to throw murder down there extra. But brokerage, burglary, robbery, obscenity, trafficking in obscene child porn materials, things like that. Trafficking in controlled substances, drugs.
Interesting enough, they have not brought up any child or children PORN. And I know we've heard a lot about that in the media and social media prior to the case. The state has said, I'm sorry, government, I should say. The government has said that they found videos, but they're not really referencing anything about child PORN at this point.
Drugs and fentanyl now, the big one, right? Kidnapping, taking people across state lines, doing these kinds of things. And by the way, let me point out real quick that this being a federal law does require interstate commerce. So make sure you're pleading that. Interstate commerce, I see. Arson.
Okay, shout out to Ty. Ty says, I don't believe Diddy and his people. I have someone close who worked with Diddy for years. Okay, Ty, that's cool. Honestly, I believe Diddy did some wrong things, but I also know how the law works. Both sides, I was a litigation secretary, and I will say both sides play dirty. And so I generally don't believe both sides. It's like, who can make the best argument? And even if you know something is, let's put it like this, even a person who unalive somebody, they will get their day in court. Does that mean that they didn't do it? No, it just means that their attorney may have been able to get them off. So I totally agree. I don't believe that Diddy is necessarily innocent. Even when we talk about the arson of Kid Cudi's car, at this point, it's circumstantial. Now, the Arun Subramanian, the judge, after opening arguments, they did talk to us about, the evidence. I'm taking a circumstantial evidence. He did talk about that and how we were supposed to view circumstantial evidence. So at this point, and this is my opinion, the Kid Cudi situation is circumstantial. There was a text message in which Diddy talked about the car. It ended up being blown up. And so to me, that would mean you did it, but not under the law, because that would be circumstantial. Like, was there a witness? There were no police reports. We're finding out that there was female DNA there. But in my opinion, again, I believe, y'all, this is just everybody, just like the jurors, people are going to make their own conclusions, right? I feel that his car was blown up. I feel that there was female DNA. And we know that Diddy had either Cassie or I believe Capricorn Clark. I feel he had somebody do it. That's just how I feel. But can we prove it? Is it substantial enough evidence to put it on him? At this point, No, I mean that's what we're getting to when the judge gives those jury instructions. Are they going to be able to say without a doubt that Diddy did it? It's so much. And so basically the defense attorneys, not just Diddy's attorneys, but that's where they're landing. Yeah, we could know that he did it, but can you prove it? Is there room for doubt? So some of these things that they're alleging is still doubt there, even though in your heart you like, I know that mother ducker did it. But if you apply the letter of the law, can you prove it? So that's kind of where we are. So let me see. Ty said because it's hard to go after. 420 Jenkins, hey, welcome to the chat. Welcome. Says grand evening, everyone. Grand evening to you too. Ty says Diddy's a demon. Man, Ty, let me tell you, I agree with you. It's just so hard to sit there seeing Cassie's mother on the witness stand. That was heartbreaking. I mean, I'm a mother, you know what I'm saying? No matter what I thought about her behavior or whatever, it breaks your heart because it could be anybody's child. Like she said, you always, when you get ucked up, when he gets on those drugs, you like to show your authority and your power. I'm not just a rag doll. I didn't understand that. My phone is listening to me. Let me turn this off. It's heartbreaking, right? Just seeing her mother, what she had to go through. I'm sure there was times where she wanted Cassie to leave him. The fact that he did that to her mother just because she was dating someone, he absolutely is a demon. Listen, I talked to his publicist, because we're all in there talking. She said, and now, mind you, now she's very pro Diddy. That's his publicist. I'm kind of neutral. I'm listening to the evidence. I have my own gut instinct, but I like to believe that I'm objective enough as a juror would be to go by the laws, like what the jury instructions would be. She says Diddy was a horrible person. The defense, his attorneys, even in their opening arguments, their statement, they said he's a horrible person, but but should he have RICO charges? And I think that's the thing that people are debating and where people are getting caught up. There's no disagreement that what he did to Cassie was wrong. There's no disagreement about that. I think where a lot of us are getting stuck is this a real RICO case? And I'm learning myself as well, right? So Ty also says it's hard to go after the child P. So much that has to be proven under the law, and Diddy is not alone. So that's my belief. It's too deep to go into. So let me say, Ty, I agree with you about that. Now, there are various attorneys, and we're sitting with them in the courtroom. Certain things people tell us. If they know that you are like part of the press or a YouTuber, people, they tell you certain things. I don't know if they're lying or they're trying to sway your opinion. But when I tell you, one of the things that we have heard, these are allegations. I'm not sure if it's true. One of the things that we heard was that initially there was some porn situation. I think if you guys have heard the social media, some of the things that we're hearing in social media are flat out lies. Okay. And I ain't even gonna hold you. When they first came out about the baby oil, I did a video saying, they found GHB in the baby oil because I had heard somebody else say it. But now that we're actually in the trial and everything, the government has not said that it's been laced. At this point, we are learning that the baby oil, all those thousands of bottles did not have drugs in them. Diddy has some kind of a weird obsession with baby oil. So that's all that was. However, based on the salaciousness of the story, a lot of us jumped on that and reported that it was. Now, what we're hearing about the child P is that, here you guys go. Listen, now y'all could take it, believe it or not. I'm just telling you what we've been hearing from some of the attorneys and the people. Cassie would have been complicit and implicated in some situations with underage people as well. Allegedly. I'm going to say allegedly 1,000 times. So based on if she took a proffer or if she got immunity, they took some of the different things that he could have been charged with. He would have had coke, defendants or co-conspirators. So I'm hearing that that's one of the things that was taken off the table because they felt that they had so many other things. I don't know it to be a fact, but that's something that's floating around the courtroom, y'all. That's one of the things that they're saying. Heidi says, yes, it is. Ty says Bieber was not a lie, but it's hard going after a victim who becomes a victimizer. Yeah, Bieber is not even being brought up in this at all. Here's the thing. A lot of what we're hearing about this indictment was solely based on Cassie's lawsuit. She was the person. Well, her lawsuit is what initiated the federal investigation. So in terms of Bieber, what he did or anything like that, all of this other stuff like Ali Carter, those people, they could very well have cases. They could very, very well have been a part of this, but it was all of these things when the Fed started their investigation was basically started with Cassie's complaint, and they started like 2 weeks after. They may have been watching Diddy for years, but yeah, like the Biebers and all of those other things, like all of the salacious stuff that we heard about these freak offs and these other celebrities, they're not even focused on that. And a lot of what they're focusing on is what they literally found, when they raided his homes. So unless they may have found something, with Bieber, and I don't even know if if Diddy, they were saying that Diddy had all these electronics and things like that. But what they said, and I believe them, I believe the government, when they said they did not find these, they didn't find a lot of tapes of Cassie and Diddy that he had in his possession. The tapes that they have been referring to have all come from Cassie. So that's pretty interesting. Ty says Bieber was not a lie, but it's okay. I read that. Ty says I have followed. I just gave an example. Oh no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not debating, but yeah, I have been following as well. And a lot of the things that I initially thought, once people are under penalty of perjury and they're before a judge and they are facing, criminal charges as well, the stories change. Ty says, don't forget, Cassie said he made her a bad person. Yeah, Cassie definitely was a victim. Early on, it sounds like she admittedly says, she was kind of down with the lifestyle, but she was young. And, there was some grooming involved. Initially, before hearing her testimony, I really felt that Cassie was just as complicit as Diddy. A lot of these people let a lot of this stuff go down, right? And I was like, nah, y'all was all freaking, y'all was having a good time. And now that, now that there's a penalty to pay, y'all want to all say, absolve yourself and point fingers at Diddy. But the more that I hear her testimony, the more I'm understanding and learning that I feel like a lot of people still listen. Diddy has a lot of support. The more I feel like Cassie really was a victim, and she has like battered wife syndrome or something like that, and the whole Stockholm Syndrome. That's kind of how I'm feeling about it now, Linda Jones says, hey y'all. Hey Linda, y'all, please don't forget to give me a like. I appreciate that. Please give me a like button. Heidi says, I feel bad for her, but I think come on, the fame and the money. See, yeah, some people are really feeling like, and that's what that's what the defense, that's what they're trying to say. They're trying to make Cassie look like she was just a 304, like she was down for the money and the lifestyle. But then again, you guys remember, some women stay with broke men and get battered and abused. So I don't know. Initially, that's what I thought. But the more that I heard the stuff that he did to her, you can't be that damn money hungry. The urinating in her face, 2 men at a time. I don't see how his money offset that. I'm just saying, you got to be mentally crazy, and I'm talking about Cassie, to allow a man. There's no Birkin bag that you could wear when you've allowed somebody to demoralize you to that degree. So that's why I kind of don't feel that it was just about the money. I mean, this man humiliated and broke her down to the point, to a fraction. I mean, my goodness. Like, after the way he treated her and let men run up in her and all this weird stuff that she did, you think you were wearing a Birkin bag or driving in whatever, a Rolls Royce? how I don't see how you could even look at yourself in the mirror. And I'm not putting her down or judging her like that, but I'm just saying I don't see that the money. I feel like she mentally something was going on with her to even accept this kind of behavior. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there are some women who go over to Dubai and they get pooped on, but they're doing it of their own volition because they want money just that bad. But Cassie sounds like she did all of this stuff constantly seeking the love and approval of Diddy. You know, but again, this is only one side of it. You know, the defense, they did their cross, but we haven't really heard how they're laying out their evidence yet. I mean, we haven't gotten to that yet. So Ty says, I never felt so she was too young. Yes, she was young. Definitely Stockholm. That's kind of how I'm feeling about it now. I'm really feeling there's some Stockholm because she leaves him, she goes back, you know, and even after all has been said and done, she said, no, I don't hate him and I don't love him, but I have love for the time, the past or the times. And it's like, what? You know, now in the courtroom, people were just shocked and gasping. And so those kind of statements, I guess it depends on where the jurors are going to land, what they think about that, because her even said she has love for the past, which included him, is kind of alarming and shocking. Like all the horrific things that you're telling us, where's the love? You should be mortified. But again, it just depends on how people feel about it. Ty says her friend says she made $1 million on her modeling. Yeah, they were saying that she was making her money and stuff like that. So she wasn't broke, you know, but still Diddy has so much money. Like her money pales in comparison to what Diddy had. Heidi says he was evil. I agree. And he should do life, which won't be long in the big house. Ty says, think about Kim Porter. Yeah, Kim Porter, who born his children and he never claimed her publicly. Well, okay, so people who are there from New York and who kind of knew their inner circle, they say that Diddy did claim Kim Porter, and Cassie would be like the third party or the third wheel, and that Kim Porter had the power in that dynamic, and she would make Diddy kind of treat Kim a little bit shabby. So you got different people telling different stories about that whole relationship. Gita says those could have been some deep rooted fantasies that the diddler tapped into. Gotta let her HOE. You can't be mad. Don't hate the player. I think it's deeper than that, Gita. I mean, he did have some deep fantasies, but at some point, even if she was a willing participant, there are beatings. I mean, he literally physically abused her. He took her car away. He took her cell phone away. He made her mother pay him back $20,000. Those things are kind of unforgivable. But as we're here to discuss, does it rise to the level of being a RICO? Ty says it's like living with a narcissist. Absolutely. Diddy was crazy. But you got to also remember that the defense is kind of saying when they talk about Cassie, the fact that Cassie, we know now that Cassie is taking medications because of all the drug use. They're kind of trying to make it sound like Diddy was impacted by the drug use as well. Like, you know, they're using Cassie's testimony saying, well, he was like bipolar. He had a good side. The drugs made him do it. So and that's why you got to be careful, because anything you say can and will be used against you. So if she's saying that she was messed up on drugs and it caused her to do stuff, well, Diddy's team is saying the same thing because he took a copious amount of drugs as well. So, I mean, it's just like a legal back and forth, right? It's like a touche, and, you know, I mean, it's crazy. Let's see. Crew Pinky says, speaking from who has been in DV, she felt like she couldn't. Okay, yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying. She couldn't escape. He is powerful. She felt fearful. She had to wait for an opportunity to get out. Wendy Williams spoke to that too years ago. Wendy kind of talked about the fact that she says, yeah, if you're dating somebody like Puff, who has I think she said a helicopter or whatever, he can land wherever you are. You kind of can't escape him. So I'm listening to all sides. Ty says, I believe that was because the jury should not believe she testified under hate. Well, no, okay, and Ty, I'm gonna say this. I think it's not like she's testifying under hate, but you don't have to say you love the times. You could say they were very alarming, and those were very bad times for me. I don't love those times. That's not hateful. You don't have to say you love something that literally you said almost destroyed you. You wouldn't have love for it. So I disagree with that comment that you're saying there. I think there's a way that she could have say it, because again, it had the all of the people. I didn't see the jurors. I wasn't in the courtroom with the jurors, so I'm just talking about the courtroom we were in and the monitor. It's like, people were gasping like, what? Because it didn't make sense. That's why some people felt that and are still saying that she's still in love with them. Like, she did not give us the feeling that, all of this was so bad. You should not, the average person, generally one of the legal things that they say is a reasonable person. So I'm going to say a reasonable person probably wouldn't have answered it like that. That's what I'm saying. Watching the world. I've been in the courtroom every day. So watching the world 777, because there are a lot of us in there and we all have varying opinions. What's your thoughts about it? Do you think it's a RICO case? Hey, Otto, on the go. Hey, baby, I've been watching you. You are blowing up. He says, hey, Scandalous, salute and peace to the chat. You guys go follow him. Put your chat information, your YouTube channel out there. If you guys see somebody who's been with Nick at Night, he's been doing interviews. He got the little hat on. He's funny. I mean, he's been killing it, and everybody got eyes on you. So thank you for joining my chat. I don't do lives that much. I'm trying to do them more, right? But at some point, and I'll be back because I'm in California now, but I'll be back in a week or two. I'm going to come back, and you got to give me an interview if you don't mind. You got to give me an interview. Okay, so it's Ota on Go. Y'all got to go. I am subscribed to his channel. Go subscribe. What do y'all two think? Watching the World 777, do you have a YouTube channel? Because if you do, I'm shouting you out too. What do you guys think? Although I've been seeing you outside, but what are your thoughts so far? Let us know what you think. Is this a RICO case? Because that's kind of what everybody is debating. Everybody is debating whether this is a RICO or not. Gita says her fantasies, not his. Those were her fantasies. I don't know. She says they weren't her fantasies. She's saying that she did it for him. But you know what? I'm gonna pause right there and just wrap up this RICO, because I think this is the thing that everybody is debating, whether or not this case is an actual RICO case. So let's let this attorney finish, and then I'll go back to the chat.
Gambling's this big one. Interstate gambling rackets and things like that. Extortion, of course, that's what everybody always says. That's extortion.
So the extortion or the bribery, either one, was when he was trying to get her mother to pay him the $20,000, or else he was going to release those photos.
They're extorting me. That's RICO. Okay, it could be. Yes, it could be. Yes, it could be. And murder, of course, these mobsters and gangsters and crime families, killing people off. Bang, bang, you're gone. These will qualify as a predicate act. These will qualify as a predicate act. These state laws, there's a list of about 35 of them. Okay. Not going to go over all of them. I'm going over the juicy ones. The criminal IP, as I mentioned, if you're stealing copyrighted stuff, transporting, making manufacturer software, things like that, or stealing. Sorry. That's my wife calling. Anyway, I'll get to her later. Got to finish my work first. Trade secrets is another one. Stealing trade secrets, criminal level, theft of trade secrets, bribery, witness tampering.
Now, interesting that he said witness tampering, because remember, the witness tampering, that was one of the elements or reasons why Diddy did not get the bail, because they allegedly, I don't know if they accused him of it, but it was like once he started calling what's the young lady with dirty money, the young lady Don Kalina, once they saw that he had called her like 55 times, like back to back, they viewed that as a potential that he could have witness tampering. So that's a pretty big one. I didn't even know that that was like underlisted as one of the could be a violation. So yeah, that may be one of the reasons why he never got the bail.
Mail and wire fraud. This is the frequent one you see all the time. Mail and wire fraud. Okay. Doing illegal things through the phone lines and the email lines and everything else. Money laundering, of course, the big one. Everybody always talks about money laundering, right? Tampering with witnesses. I have here interstate chop shops, stealing a car, taking it across, chopping it into pieces, trying to make money, those kinds of things. And trafficking. These are what I call the juicy ones. These are the ones.
Now, you guys know the trafficking comes in, or what they're alleging. The trafficking is where they would pay the escorts to come to various states to have relationships with him. Now, early on when we were listening to, Cassie's testimony, she was talking about like the first guy, I believe, was Daniel. And then we heard about the Punisher. Well, they did travel, but to me, they were sex workers. So that was part of their job. And the other thing that I felt was that the first guy said that he would be paid for, and the second guy too, they kind of made it sound like they would be paid for an experience, like they would be paid for dancing or putting on a particular show. But as we start getting more into testimony, a lot of these experiences ended up being, they engaged with Cassie, and they weren't supposed to be doing that either, though, because that would be prostitution. So they kind of danced around that. It was like, oh no, I'm just a dancer for a bachelorette party, stuff like that. But we know that these encounters generally ended up with them having some kind of an engagement with Cassie. The other thing about that was that so far, Diddy never had relations with these men. It was all him watching Cassie, right? So, and the other thing that was debated was where did the money come from? Because remember, Cassie set all these things up, and Cassie would be the one giving these men the money, but who provided Cassie with the money? But like you said, Ty, Cassie was a millionaire as well. So that's how all of these little technicalities get down. Well, how can we prove where the money came from? I mean, it gets so crazy, right?
Ones you see on TV, you go, wow, that's juicy. That's really juicy. But theft and fraud and those kinds of things, and there's a bunch of other ones. If you're not finding it here, check out Title 18, see the full list, see if it fits in there. But so if you have two or more of these predicate acts, and it constitutes a pattern of racketeering conduct. Now, I'm not going to go into specific details on this, but I did want to read you this here in case you're saying.
So based on what they've presented to us so far, there are at least two predicate acts. I'm not going to say they're going to stick, but they've given us kidnapping. They've given us trafficking. They've given us arson. They've given us bribery, extortion. So they've presented more than enough. Will they stick? I don't know. The enterprise bad boys. Now, the pattern is the fact that he would rely on security. He would rely on his assistants. All of these, and I'm assuming KK, she has not testified yet, but Christina Quorum. But these people assisted him to do the things that he did. It was him and Cassie together. However, she's not on trial, but it was through the enterprise, is what they're alleging, that allowed or created the environment for him to do the things that could be part of the RICO. So based on what I'm understanding a RICO to be, I feel like that this could be a RICO case. Now, will it stick or stay or stand? I don't know. You guys jump in the comments and let me know your thoughts based on what you know of a RICO.
Well, what the heck does he mean? Continuity and relationship. I mean, what does that mean? I'm just going to read you this here. It is not necessary to prove that the racketeering acts always be similar in nature or directly related to each other, but rather a pattern of racketeering activity may be found if the predicate acts are related to the activities of the alleged enterprise. Okay, related to the activities. The racketeering acts furthered the goals of or benefited the enterprise. Two, the enterprise or the defendant's role in the enterprise.
Now, that's where some people also had a problem. They felt that the things that Diddy did not necessarily create a monetary benefit to the enterprise, but it was more about his personal weird, I don't know, right? His personal, for him personally. However, it was still part of the enterprise that helped him conduct some of these criminal activities.
Enabled the defendant to commit or facilitated the commission of the racketeering acts. Three, the racketeering acts were committed at the behest of or on behalf of the enterprise. And or four, the racketeering acts had the same or similar purposes, results, participants, victims, or methods of commission. Now, this can get really down in the weeds with open and closed and all this other stuff. I'm not going to take you down to the weeds. Let's keep it friendly. Let's keep it easy to understand here. But that's it. So, I mean, if you have these things.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there. So, y'all, I'm going to go back to based on what he just said, and as I get a further understanding of RICO, I feel like the state is establishing what they're setting out to do, but I don't know if it will stick. But let's go to the comments. So Melanie Alexis says, the high and the lows of it all will confuse anyone. He is an obvious narcissist. I agree. Gerald Jones. Hey, Gerald, welcome to the chat. You guys, please hit the like button, please. Gerald says, but where's the trafficking at? Freaking. Okay, so Gerald, great question. When I went at the beginning of the trial, we had heard about these white parties and all of these celebrities, and they was getting, freaking the freak offs. Generally, up to this point, now we haven't had the next woman, the Jane Doe, to speak. So, but based on Cassie or whatever we're finding out, the freak offs generally are three people. So I'm going to say threesomes, right? But the trafficking part is when they pay the escorts to go to different states across state lines, when they had paid them to come to like Miami, Vegas, Ibiza, which that's international. So they pay these men to go and have their sessions. That is the trafficking. Now, traditionally, a lot of us think of trafficking as snatching somebody up, and that's how I used to think of it too. But I mean, I'm expanding my understanding. I used to think of trafficking as somebody snatching somebody up, making them, have, sex, and y'all, I'm talking coded because of YouTube, and not allowing them to leave or against their will. But that's not what they're saying. Trafficking is when you're paying for people across state lines to be, involved in sex acts. Yeah. Ty says, BS, he had drugs in the hotel and Cassie been gone for years. Okay, Tom, yeah, he did have drugs in the hotel and Cassie been gone for years, but I don't know exactly which comment you're referring to, but yeah, you're right about that. Heidi says he was a roach and hard to get rid of. Hey, Philip Hernandez, Cassie just as guilty. Ain't no way she stayed around that long and didn't say anything. And Philip, to your point, a lot of people feel that way. I mean, and here's the thing. I think people see this through their own lens, their own experiences. It's going to be up to the jury to decide what they believe based on the jury instructions. But Philip, a lot of people do believe that Cassie was complicit. They believe that Cassie stayed because of the lifestyle. After Kid Cudi testified, some people feel like she played both of them. So, I'm trying to be objective and trying to respect everybody's opinion. There's no right or wrong. You feel how you feel, 420 Jenkins says, it seemed like we are not watching a RICO trial. It seems like we're watching a lawsuit trial. Okay. Yeah, again, I have to agree with you. Some people feel like it's not a RICO, that it's more of a domestic violence. But if they only put it in the frame of the domestic violence kind of a lawsuit, the statute has run. And so, yeah, I mean, and then we haven't even looked at the years in which I got to go back and look at the years in terms of what they said would cover a RICO, because it sounds like the statute may have run on some of these things. Watching the World 777. Oh, did we meet each other? Because I was out there. But yeah, what's your YouTube channel? Is your YouTube channel Watching the World 777? Melanie Alexis says the gravity of speaking and nervously you will not say all the right things. Absolutely. So Melanie, I agree with you on that. The problem with that is generally, like I've been deposed before, right? You, with this kind of case, you've talked to this is what tripped Don up. Hold on, you guys, I gotta clear my throat 1 second. What tripped Don up was the fact that she had talked to the feds at least 5 or 6 times. I think in a total of 8, but I'm just going to say we know about 5 times. And so what happens is if your testimony is not consistent, yeah, you're going to forget some things, but there should be an element or a thread of consistency, right? If you say I went to the store and I saw a Louis Vuitton bag, and then you go to the store, or you're telling the same story and you go, I went to the store, and then let's say you're talking about designer bags, but then the next time you say I went to the store and I saw a soda pop, but you don't but then all of us, and I know this is very juvenile, it's probably not a good example, y'all, but if there's not an element of consistency, like when Don was talking about, he hit Cassie with the skillet. Then it was he tried to hit Cassie with the skillet. Then it was like I didn't see him hit Cassie with the skillet. Then it was like he threw eggs. Like there was approximately 4 or 5 different stories. That's problematic. That's where it's going to be an issue. So even if you don't tell the story the same way, the overarching outcome has to have some consistency. You can't say, and then one of the problems is that when they would get on the stand, some of the witnesses, they would say, I don't remember saying that. And it's like, oh, now that you're under penalty and you're testifying, the story has gotten bigger. It's almost like you embellish it, but you told a different story to the let me refresh your memory. This is what you told the federal agents back in blah 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 just a month ago. You don't remember what you said a month ago, and you expect us to remember what you said, what happened 10 years ago, but you don't remember you said this a month ago. That's what happened to the his personal assistant. He was talking about the night where they saw Suge Knight, and he said that they had the GUNs and all of this stuff. So when they were trying to refresh his memory, and he was saying, I don't remember saying that. It's like, so you don't remember, and they were doing drugs back in the day. So you're telling us that 10 years ago, when you were under the influence at 4 a.m. in the morning, your memories are so clear. You can tell us what happened, but you don't remember what you said just a month ago, because some of them were meeting with the federal agents up to like weeks before the trial started. And then when you say you don't remember, it makes you not look credible. You're not going to tell me you remember something that happened 10 years ago, but you don't remember statements you made just a few weeks ago. Those were problematic. Hey, Joe Martha, welcome to the chat. Welcome. Watching the World says Sylvia got in the main courtroom. Oh yeah, she did. I know. I since I've been home, I've been texting her. I was watching her. She went to the World Trade Center. She's actually going around and doing stuff. Yeah. Okay, Mel. Hey. Okay, I do remember you. Okay, and thank you. Like I said, thanks again for joining the chat, y'all. Odo Ongo says, anything you want, just let me know what you want as far as a comment. Yes, just hit me up. Okay. Okay, so Odo on the go, that he's boots on the ground too. And he's talking to people. I know you guys have seen him in different videos. And I mean, talking to some of the legal beagles, right? He says, I don't know if it's a RICO. And so that's what I'm having a problem with. I am literally learning from a legal perspective what a RICO is. I never did cases when I was a secretary. We didn't have cases like that. I did more corporate law, stuff like that. Nothing like this before, and not in federal. And I'm in San Francisco too. So, but he's saying the same thing that a lot of people are saying. Some of the heavyweights are saying it's not rising to a RICO. So Heidi says blackmail. Yes, the blackmail was the money that he made Cassie. Well, here's the blackmail. Another thing is Cassie is saying that throughout their relationship, he had blackmailed her, saying that, you know, if she did certain things, he was going to release those videos. So that's an element of blackmail, as well as the fact that he made her mom send him $20,000. Now, one point that they made during the testimony or during the cross and everything was that who sent the email to her mother? It sounds like it came from somebody in the Diddy enterprise. Like Diddy didn't send it himself. And so that's another way how they're kind of like, where they're kind of making it iffy. Like, well, because here, I'm going to just tell you this. When they talked about the whole blackmail thing to the mom, it didn't necessarily come from him, just like that car didn't get blown up. So there still always is that element of doubt, you guys. Unfortunately, it is. It is. Pleasant Gift. Hey, Pleasant Gift, welcome to the chat. You said professional. Maybe I said the wrong word. If I did for something, I apologize, y'all. Heidi says when he called Jay-Z. Okay, so what are you talking about with the Jay-Z now? Because Jay-Z's name has not, well, let me see. Maybe Jay-Z's name came up one time, but I don't recall any major significance surrounding Jay-Z. Ty says he went to meet the mule. Yes, in LA, they got a special deal with the FBI. Yes. Now, here's the thing, Ty. Now, I don't know if that, I know the kid you're talking about, because he was arrested and stuff, but he's out. He's, you know, and we pretty much feel like he took a deal. So far, he has not testified, but yeah, that would be another. Y'all, when they talked about the federal agent who, there are a couple of them that talked about when they raided the homes, the amount of drugs this man had is unrealistic. And they even said meth. I was just shocked because generally when we talk about meth heads and stuff, they be like almost on the level of a CRACK head, right? So when they said, I was just like, Diddy was doing that. And then you guys, Diddy also had, what is it called? Plan B, you know, the day after drug. Like, what are you doing with that? He had this girl taking Viagra. Like, he was like a pharmacy. Now, that's another thing they mentioned. Let me see. Somebody mentioned, was he pushing, you know, that? But I don't think he was really, I think he was using. They both were very addicted. I mean, we just found out that, you know, as of 2023, she was still going to rehab. So Ty says, but ex-workers is against the law. In various states, I know it's illegal in Nevada, but for the most part, ex-working is against the law because it's you know, y'all know we can't say certain words. Yeah, Ty. So yeah, it is. And so that's why the men, the escorts, they are called escorts. They say they give you an experience. They don't necessarily want to say that they're getting paid to you know, give a happy ending. Let's say it like that. Yeah, because it's illegal. Prostitution is illegal. somebody was saying, we were talking, it was a group of us, and they were talking about it in the break room, and they was just like, no matter how you slice it, it is illegal in most states. Sean Christopher, hey Sean, welcome to the chat. Please hit the like button on your way in. Thank you for joining. Who paid them, Cassie or Diddy? Cassie was kind of the person who took the lead in, if you're talking about who paid the escorts, it would be Cassie. But even if she paid them, was it Diddy's money that facilitated the payments, right? That, I mean, all these technicalities, that's where they're fighting back and forth. Well, who gave them the money? Well, how do you know it was paid for? Was it from Bad Boy Records? Because there was even a situation where they were talking about Diddy's baby oil. He did not want the baby oil to be paid for under Bad Boy Records with that credit card. And I think the assistant made the mistake and did it one time. So see, he was clever enough to try to keep things compartmentalized and so that it couldn't come back to haunt him, you know, and I'm sure he had enough money to pay for whatever he wanted to do. Even if he, like the escorts, they may try to say that he used funds from the enterprise to pay for him, but I'm sure he had his own salary, so he would have had his own money. And as Ty said earlier, Cassie was a millionaire. So see, they have to figure out where all this money, like, did the criminal enterprise facilitate these freak offs? That's going to be a question. Ty says the Punisher said Diddy put out the money. I don't recall him saying that Diddy ever handed him the money. Diddy may have given or facilitated the money, but I don't remember him. And I don't have the transcript in front of me, but I don't recall him saying that Diddy gave him the money. Bring the Mess TV. Shout out to Bring the Mess TV. You guys, please go check her out. She has a channel. Hey girl. Let's see. Ty says, and the assistant brought with the company card to clean up Cassie. And the assistant brought with the company card to clean up Cassie. Yeah, the assistant, I guess I'm kind of reading it wrong. The assistant did a lot. And they were really trying to hone in on, did he use the credit card to do certain things and how that worked? And because again, they're still trying to say that this was the enterprise. This did he use? And see, here's another thing. Apparently, Diddy got advances for Cassie, and so it sounds like he did not necessarily use the money for what he was supposed to, and some of that money could have gone to freak offs. So it's just it's messy. It's like a messy web. Bring the Mess TV. Yeah, thank you, girl. Yes, y'all, please hit the like button. If you in the room, please hit the like button. QT1 says girl, child, like BTMTV. I don't know what that means. Yeah, listen, I'm slow. You guys spell it out for me. I'm stuck on, I don't know all those little acronyms, but welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat. And I've seen you before, so thank you for coming. Ty says maybe they have receipts how the hotel was paid. Oh, absolutely. They are doing a forensic dive. Some of this, like I said, some of this information they haven't, proven everything, but they are meticulously showing us everything. I mean, they know how things were paid. They pull all the receipts. They've pulled all of their phone, like they got their old devices. I mean, it's pretty much not much that they don't have access to. Hey, Lulu. Hey, y'all. My moderator is here. She says, happy Friday. Y'all, please go follow Lulu on Lulu's Divine Flow on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. And yes, please get the thumbs up. And Lulu is shouting out, Bring the Mess TV. Linda says, how can anyone not see what Diddy is now that things are getting brought to light? Come on, ladies. He needs to be punished by the law. So I don't think people are saying that he shouldn't be punished. But unfortunately, based on the law, there are certain things that have to be met before you can be like like when the judge gives the jury instructions, it's going to be based on what people believe. Is it legal? Like, can he be convicted based on these, like a RICO, I don't think anybody thinks that Diddy is not guilty of something, but a lot of people are debating as to whether or not this is a true RICO. And I think that's because people still have the antiquated thought that it's mainly only for mob bosses or mob entities. But as you listen to the video, I tried to play the video so y'all could see, they even had a RICO case with the exams with the families that tried to get their kids into those Ivy League colleges. So the definitions and the way they're applying the law have expanded over the year. Porsche says, how many people got pregnant? Everybody could not have been over 45 and everybody isn't. Okay, so he was not big on using the condoms, number one. Number two, he had as part of his pill arsenal, he had the Plan B or the day after drug. So even if, the women that he was messing with, if they got pregnant, I mean, I'm sure he would make Cassie take the day after. Cassie did want to have a baby by him. I think that came out. She wanted to be his main girl. So I believe that even if she did get pregnant, that he would have made her unalive it. I mean, because he had just so many drugs and everything. There's no way he was gonna let her do that. And I feel like after Kim Porter had the kids, that's one of the reasons he didn't want Cassie is to have children, because I feel like Kim stopped doing some of the things that he wanted because she became a mother. And so he did not want Cassie. He didn't want to lose his partner in crime like him, Cassie, because if you listen to the text messages, the way it reads is that they were on one accord, even though Cassie is saying, she got tired of it. To some degree, Cassie was the willing participant, right? For many years. And I believe that, Kim Porter, this is just my belief because they're not really getting into Kim Porter, but I feel like Kim Porter, once she started having the last set of twins and she got older, she was like, I'm not doing this foolishness no more, because it sounds like that they also had a bit of like the threesomes and stuff like that. Yes, you guys, can you please hit the like button? Lulu says, what do you make of the trial so far? Diddy was just a terrible person, I feel for Cassie. I could see where, her life, I mean, even the money that she has gotten, I just don't think she's going to be traumatized for the rest of her life. That's so much trauma. They're saying that she was hit in the head so much that she might have some CTE. Now, these are just things that the people are saying in the, sitting out, not the jurors and stuff, but I'm also hearing, because I haven't been in the main courtroom where people that are watching the jurors, is that some of the jurors, they are falling asleep to sometimes. It gets the minutia of some of the details, like the expert witnesses, people fall asleep. So, I don't know if they're getting as much of the information because it's long. I'll tell you, there are just days where there are long days and you got to really, really pay attention on be on top of it. But let's see what Leo is saying. Once you become the vampire, you don't go back as a human. Yeah, Cassie was exposed to a lot. I mean, I don't even know how Diddy got into it. One thing I'm seeing about him is that he has an obsession with this baby oil. It's like obsessive compulsive. And so I think a lot of his behaviors, like they haven't even gone into the personality type, but you can tell he's got some deep-seated issues. This baby oil, this man had to travel wherever he went. It's just like there's this weird obsession with baby oil. Another thing that I've noticed, in my opinion, is that he didn't seem to have for one, he never really wanted. Cassie had brought up the idea of them having a three-way with another woman. He didn't seem to really want women, like it wasn't like he wanted to see her be with another woman, or he even wanted to, penetrate another woman. It was always he wanted to see Cassie with a man, and the member side was a big issue for him. So that was weird to me. Was he gay, bisexual? That's the feeling I'm getting. I feel like maybe he was bi. Let's go back, because this video was really to talk about the RICO, to see what you guys thought about the RICO. Let me see. There's some people. I'm gonna go back to Inner City Press. This is the gentleman that we're getting all of our tweets from. He's able to take his cell phone into the courtroom, and he's the one of the court journalists that is able to give us tweets. So I want to listen to what he has to say about it, because he's really driving a lot of the narratives from inside the court that a lot of people are reporting on.
Been covering for the last 2 weeks, and actually all the way back to the indictment, the U.S. versus Sean Combs case. But it's off for today, and we'll be resuming Tuesday. We use the opportunity to, after yesterday's Kid Cudi and other testimony, to publish the booklet. It's called Diddy on Trial Week 2, From Dawn to Kid Cudi. And it has more than just the threads that we've been putting out. It has some, It has some analysis. It has some voices. It is what it is. We're going to be doing that throughout. We did it on the Trump trial, but we're doing it on this one. It's really it's pretty gripping. Yes, I would say yesterday, Kid Cudi was a pretty compelling witness. He stayed calm. He's basically witnessed a lot of violence. Definitely said that his car had a Molotov cocktail. So these are the elements that they're trying to put together for the racketeering. I was surprised that the cross-examination by Brian Steele brought up from the Young Thug victory in Atlanta was as kind of deferential as it was. Maybe he realized that Cudi was going to be a compelling witness anyway and didn't want to come off as, maybe they didn't think they could accomplish much on it. Not sure what they really got him to say that's going to be helpful to the defense, but I could be missing something. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. Now, on the unsealing world, I have to say, I'm Judge Subramanian. While initially allowing a lot of stuff to be happening off docket, we did a filing in week 1 on Thursday. And now he first ruled orally that things should be docketed. Tuesday will be a big day because based on our filing Tuesday, a lot of things will go into the docket. Then he said weekly thereafter. But now he's clarified it in another order yesterday, saying this doesn't mean hold off until the end of the week. When you do a letter, put it in the docket, which hasn't been the case. So after he ruled that, suddenly, belatedly, a letter went into the docket from victim 2 opposing any view.
Okay, you guys. So victim 2, now this is kind of breaking news. He's talking about they're doing these electronic filings. Victim 2 does not want the freak out video evidence to be viewed by the public. So when we're in the courtroom, there are exhibits that they don't want anybody to see but the jury. So far, we've seen most of it, but some things they don't want anybody to see except for the jury. So this is what he's talking about. So this is like kind of breaking news about the victim 2, okay?
Viewing by the public of the freak off, or of various videos, compromising videos. So there's that. There's also the question of Gina. Gina was going to come. Gina's not coming. Some people are asking, why can't they just subpoena Gina as they subpoenaed? I don't think they want to. I don't think they want to subpoena victims. They seem to want to subpoena personal assistants like George Kaplan and others. He was also an interesting witness. So check out Diddy on Trial Week 2. It's only $4.99. Okay, let's turn to some other business. Oh, yet more rap related news.
So that's another thing. When they talk about subpoenaing Gina, they don't want to subpoena victims, right? Like, especially if they don't want to talk about it, because it's kind of almost could be construed as bullying. Hold on, you guys. We got somebody in here that has not taken their medications today. So we just gonna help them out so they can go home and take their medication. Yeah, so they don't want to force victims to come and say, like, okay, so it's different between a confidential informant or somebody like Cassie, who may have been considered a co-conspirator or co-defendant, right? Because, it's almost like either you testify or we could bring some charges against you, versus maybe somebody who was literally a victim who you can't say we're going to bring charges up against you, but you were solely a victim. You didn't have anything to do with any of the bad things that went on. You would be considered a confidential witness. An informant and a witness are different. So if you bring on like a confidential witness and you force them, they could be a hostile witness. If they really don't want to testify, what if they get on the stand and say, well, no, Diddy, I wanted to do it and blah, blah, you know what I'm saying? So it's a fine line. So I'm going to go back and say, Ty says, why is it hard for a woman in a DV relationship and not Cassie? Why are people feeling more sorry for DV victims and not Cassie? Okay, so let me just tell you this, and Ty, I'm just giving you what I've been getting with people talking about it, right? A lot of people, the problem is it's so hard for Cassie is because of the money. When people look at the lifestyle that Cassie had and the money that Diddy had, rich people's problems, that's kind of the overwhelming theme that I'm hearing, is that people are saying, oh, she's not a victim. She did it because of the money. So, and some people are just going to feel that way. Some people are really just going to feel that way. And then when she made statements, like multitude of people tried to tell her to leave him, and there are statements of her saying, I can't leave, I'm going to lose this or I'm going to lose that. not saying that he wasn't going to abuse her or physically attack her, but there were times where her response wasn't about she did not leave because she was scared or the abuse. Her response was that she would lose the lifestyle or lose certain things. So I think that's why you have two sides of it. And domestic violence, they are saying that, Cassie, that this is a case of domestic violence, but they're saying that it's not a RICO. So people acknowledge, I think everybody knows that there was some domestic violence involved, but the problem that they're having in terms of really giving Diddy all this time is because they feel like Cassie stayed because she wanted the lifestyle. So that's kind of the debate for a lot of people. Yeah, so I don't think that people are not understanding that she was abused, because there was one person, and I can't remember who it was, who said, do y'all know people will unalive their mamas to get, the lifestyle her and Diddy had? So that's why people are kind of looking at it from that perspective, Let's see. And then I wanted to show this here. These are people talking about, these are legal analysts kind of going over, giving their opinion about what they think about the case. So let's listen to this.
Attorney and former prosecutor Mark Eiglarsha. I always love talking to you about this. Mark, it's amazing how much angry debating is going on between lawyers, legal analysts, people who are watching the trial, reporters, as to, all of this shows that Sean Combs is a terrible guy, but it doesn't amount to RICO. I am one of the people who argues and debates that a lot of this shows RICO. And, Kid Cudi seemed to have a lot of stories that matched up with the predicate acts to RICO. Did you agree or disagree?
Well, it helped. But here was my feeling on Kid Cudi. He proved with 100% certainty, beyond all shadow of a doubt, that Diddy may have committed arson. Probably, maybe committed arson. That's not enough. In fact, there's a reason why no one was ever arrested for that crime. No one was ever prosecuted. There's no direct evidence at all linking Sean Combs. And that's a problem. It's enough for the court of public opinion, but it's not enough for a court of law where proof beyond a reasonable doubt is required. Do we think he did it? Heck yes, we think he did it. But I don't know if that's enough to prove arson as one of those crimes that they've alleged was part of his RICO criminal enterprise.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Apart from the fact that he threatened to do it before it was actually done, he didn't. There's no evidence that he used a staff member or anyone in his enterprise to do that either. I was more interested in the break-in and an assistant named Capricorn Clark, who apparently Kid Cudi said, screamed to him on the phone, I was forced into a car and forced to drive with Diddy to your home where I am parked right now. And he is in there in your home right now. To me, that's.
Hey, shout out to Mill's new network. If you have a channel, let me know. I'll shout you out. Mill says, hell yes. As a conspiracy theorist, I know about all the demonic activities in Hollywood and the music. I'm pretty sure. Like, this is crazy. It's like that movie Eyes Wide Shut, or was it Eyes Wide Open? Something like, I'm really starting to see that this is very ritualistic. It's very, Diddy, I don't think Diddy is the only one. I think a lot of the celebrities are on notice that you better be careful, because now, I mean, we had Epstein, we have Weinstein. Weinstein is currently, he's fighting his case now too. He's in a court across the street from the federal. But yeah, these people are crazy. And thank you. Welcome to the lives. I appreciate that. Mills News says, just thank you, and gave a lot. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Mills says, this is my channel, building a news company. Okay, you guys. So shout out to Mills News Network. Go follow his channel. Let him know that Celebrity Scandalous sent you, just so he'll know that, we're trying to show him some love. But thank you, Mills, for joining. And what do you think? What do you think of the case? Do you think this is a RICO or not? Leo Castanaco says the rabbit hole it is deep, man. When I tell you, and here's the thing, so many people, truth is stranger than fiction. So many people assisted this. Like Cassie was talking about being at an event and the people who witnessed Diddy just knocked the ish out of her. Nobody did anything, right? So that lets you know a lot of these people in Hollywood, they don't give a F about other people. That if they gonna sit there and let this man beat this woman like that and nobody stand up to him, it says a lot. It's like people will cower to money, power, and control, right? Mill says Diddy and Epstein are just by yeah. Leo says the truth is stranger than fiction. This has been an eye opener for me. I would have never expected. Diddy was pretty much a druggie. He was addicted. I don't know how he was able to run his businesses at the level that he did, because over the last 20 years, this man, I mean, he's been at the height of his career. He's made a huge impact in music and fashion and even in liquor. But if you listen to this testimony, almost every week they were doing freak offs and he was getting high. I can't understand.
Screamed with a receipt almost of forced labor and coercive behavior within your enterprise to commit a crime.
Yeah, it's possible. It's not enough to show he's a really bad guy. It is definitely not enough to show that he is an abuser, which they have proven beyond all doubt. They must show these crimes. I'll tell you, we got a lot of drug testimony today, and that was one of the crimes that was alleged. So you got that. You got potentially this arson where, again, the difference between OJ, for example, is most jurors still thought he was a good guy for the most part. He was the guy running through the airport. People gave him the benefit of the doubt. The minute they showed the video with him treating Cassie like his own piñata, they immediately shifted. There was no presumption of innocence. They hated this guy, and every day we're getting more reasons to hate him. So in a close call, they're going to err on the side of the government. So believing it was him might be enough to prove arson.
I'm with you. I absolutely am with you. I think that their stomachs are turning regularly, and that is making them angry at the man who's sitting in front of them with all these.
I'll say this, you guys, after Kid Cudi talked about the dog incident, how they had locked his dog up and the dog was having anxiety and fear. Listen, I took my dog from California to this trial, okay? He didn't get to go into trial, you guys, but you know what I'm saying? I travel with him because I love him. That's my baby. They said he was trending on Twitter. People were pissed. They said if for nothing else, but whatever he did to Kid Cudi's dog, he going to prison for it. I'm just saying, and that's kind of tongue in cheek, but people were very disturbed about the fact that did they do something to this dog? I'm telling you.
These allegations against him swirling. Last one, this assistant George Kaplan, I thought was another bunch of receipts for RICO. He said he was actually sent out on drug runs with cash to go get drugs for Diddy, and he peeked inside the bag and said it was MDMA. Not only that, he was asked to go buy witch hazel to go fix Cassie's face with all the sweat.
Yes, I agree with you. A functional addict. I was in Max V World. I was in his chat earlier, and I said he was like a functional addict. And I get that, right? But at the level that he had to perform, it's almost unbelievable. It's not like Diddy had little jobs to do. Like this man, he was chairman of multiple companies. Like you're dealing with people, and if you are doing, like they said, he was doing just everything, to be honest. They mentioned so much, because gotta be careful with YouTube, but a functional addict, but I don't even know how he operated at that level and why. Did people know? I mean, I'm sure the inner circle knew, but how are you making these huge business decisions, given this lifestyle? Like, that part I don't understand.
Swelling from the beatings that he'd witnessed. And so to me, that was, again, a staffer who's meant to be. Oh, and by the way, the witch hazel was supposed to be purchased on the company credit card. So once again, these are moments where I say, here's a Tony Soprano guy using his enterprise and his staff members to either facilitate or cover up the crimes that are being committed within that enterprise.
I love to disagree with you, but I can't. On this point, I cannot, actually. I believe that they're starting to shape. And again, don't judge the case now. It's like judging a building when they put blocks together, bricks together. It's not done. Maybe there is more direct evidence about the arson. But at a minimum, if this guy's believed, We know he was doing the work of the Al Capone of the lube world. He was buying the drugs. He was cleaning up the room. It puts Diddy at the top and him as one of the co-conspirators in the RICO.
I really hope that TMZ picks up that headline, Al Capone of the lube world, because I don't think I've heard anyone put it better. Real quickly, when the defense actually does, and I've got like 10 seconds, but when the defense does begin its case, what do you do? Like, what do you do?
You argue that this wasn't rape, it was regret. You argue it wasn't against her will. She stuck in there. She wanted this. And yes, there were times that she was beaten and it was bad, but she stuck around. It was consent. That's what the defense will have to hammer.
Oh, it's going to be an uphill climb. You got to come back. Thanks, Mark.
Okay, so you guys heard it. I mean, that's what the defense, that's what they're going to argue, that, and that's what they've been saying, that it was consensual. That's why they're giving the text messages saying that, hey, she said one time, I want these freakouts for the rest of my life. So that's the kind of evidence that they're feeding the jury. So back to the comments. Craftsmaster says, y'all think Bruce Willis knew too much? Sounds like Jamie Foxx. Now, you guys know today Jamie Foxx came out with an article stating that he was talking about the conspiracy that Diddy poisoned him, and I think he's denying that. But you just never know. Even when these celebrities come out and deny things, because we're learning now too, half of the stuff that they come out and tell us is a lie. It's a PR stunt, or they have a crisis manager. So even if Diddy did do something to him, I mean, he won't tell us, okay? Yeah, so it's like you can't believe half the ish they say. Sue Thomas says, I think a lot of these celebs are coming out to say, yes, absolutely. And, you know, because some of them are like, could be considered co-conspirators at this point. But we don't have a lot of celebrities that are testifying right now in the Diddy case as of yet. The only person that would be somewhat of a celebrity at this point would be Cassie and Kid Cudi. Mills News Network, y'all shouting him out again. Wait until Jay-Z, Oprah, and Hillary Clinton are caught. Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of crazy things about all of them as well. Now, I've been saying stuff about Jay-Z. Y'all, let me say this too. Do you guys know they are literally, I'm a small channel, but they are threatening, or I'm not saying these people, Jay-Z, Oprah, and Hillary, but amongst the YouTubers and just with the circle and people talking, they have been watching YouTubers. There have been threats. And, you know, the threats, I don't know what they're threatening. Some people have gotten cease and desist, and threats don't come to this trial. So, yeah, so that's a real thing. That's a real thing. I heard about it, and I won't go much deeper into that. But, yeah, this is, crazy. Arabelle Chamorro, hey, welcome. This is crazy. Okay, this is crazy. Ever seen the movie? Yes, I saw the movie Blink. That's why I didn't believe that one girl, Misha or Lamisha, when she was coming out talking about all the stuff that Diddy did to her, because her story sounded just like the movie Blink. But I've seen the movie Blink twice. I saw it. I've seen it like 4 or 5 times. I love that movie. This is crazy. Ever seen the movie Blink twice? It's just like the people were lured, given a drug. Men would do horrendous. Yes, this is you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I believe Diddy got Cassie hooked on the drugs. You guys know Kim Porter allegedly was hooked on drugs too. So I think that he got all the women around him, you know, kind of hooked and addicted. Okay, thank you, Deshaun Gaskell. Yes, a functional addict. Y'all please hit the like button for me, please. Mills News Network says, and the Bushes and the Bidens and the Obamas and the Clintons are part of the family, the high 13 families that control. Yes. Whew, it's deep. It is so deep. You forgot the Trump. You forgot to put Trump in there too. Mills News Network says that is why they despise Trump. Oh, okay. So you're talking about Trump because he was never supposed to be president. He is the only president that his are you saying ancestors that didn't own slaves? And this is not connected to the high families. I don't know about Trump. I think they all crooked. I think all of these people in power, that went to Yale and those places. I think they are all, you know. Arabelle says it took Cassie for everyone to share light in the matter. This world is sick. Yeah, Cassie brought him down. Cassie was trying to tell him to take her seriously, and he did not believe that she was a formidable candidate or opponent. And she showed him. For years he minimized her, the way he treated her. He never thought Cassie had it in her. But when she got clean and she went through her therapy, her trauma therapy, Cassie got strong. And her husband, Alex Fine, says, I didn't save Cassie. Cassie saved herself. She finally fought back in a way that literally destroyed Diddy. He had no clue. Hey, Rosemary, welcome to the chat. Thank you for joining. You said this is your first time watching. Well, thank you. Rosemary, just in case you don't know, I have been at the trial. I've only, I went to the trial and I was there up until Tuesday. I left on Wednesday. So I've been boots on the ground, talking to people in the courtroom. We get to hear from the attorneys. We get to hear from the legal analysts. We get to hear from the publicists. So I'm just absorbing all the information, and it's awesome. This is history. This is a historic case. It is. Mills Network says Bruce Willis was a patriot and a white hat. So is Jamie Foxx and Cat Williams. Are good people, are godly people. You know, Cat Williams is the one that predicted. Remember, he said every BD deviant is going to be exposed, and he ain't lied. So many people are being brought into cases like this and being brought down. I think Hollywood is being cleaned up, you know. I don't think they're going to be able to do some of the dirty deeds that they've done so long to women and men as well. I think, you know, after the Me Too movement, things are changing. Mills News Network says Denzel Washington is a good man as well, not part of the system. Leo says Kane's bloodline is in control of everything, or was in control. Mills says, been awake, not woken since 2012 when I gave. Oh, congratulations to you, Mills. I love that. When you gave your life to Jesus. That's awesome. They say Donald Trump is the son of General Patton. I've never heard that. Deb F says, hey, Deb, welcome to the chat. Welcome. Christina says, never underestimate anyone. Cassie didn't, and she's still alive. Awakening, awesome for standing up. Exactly. You know what, Christina? Diddy said, he said to her, I don't know if it was, it was one of the text messages. He said, we are lucky to be alive. He knows what he did. When he has moments of clarity, he apologizes. He knows. He actually OD'd himself one time, almost OD'd, right? He said, we are lucky to be alive. He said, I think he said we lived hard or something. So he knows what was going on was wrong. I'm just saying he's able to look back, even in that video where he lied and said, I was in a dark place. I didn't do that. He knows. He knows. Deb says, I want to see Diddy go for life. I mean, honestly, I don't want to forecast my thoughts about it because, again, it's still, we're not even really halfway through. We're getting close to being halfway through, and there's still a lot of evidence. I just think that he's going to do some time. And I'm not saying that solely based on the evidence we're seeing. I'm going on the things that I've heard about federal cases and their history of winning, the statistics of winning. But Diddy has a pretty big team. Diddy has a lot of support. But I'm being objective here. No dog in the fight. I just think that I don't think he's going to walk. I just don't. You know, I don't think he's going to be able to surmount some of all of this evidence. Now, I'm just saying that based on how I feel. That's probably an emotional feeling because, again, like I told you guys, I've never done work with RICOs and things like that. But from just hearing the legal analyst, that's the challenge. It's proven that his behavior was, you know, on the level of a RICO. But I don't think that I think he's going to get some time. And here's the thing. He thought he was going to get bail. When he was arrested, he was at the hotel doing the same stuff. He had all of his freak off materials in the hotel, guys. So, I mean, you know, I don't think he was reformed, you know. So, Mill says Trump is related to the Kennedy family. We know what they did to JFK and RFK. Deb says, was this week? Well, this was the week 3. And do you believe they have RICO on him? See, Deb, that's what we're kind of debating. There's two. I mean, that is a huge debate, and that is raging on. I just did a video earlier. If you came in late, I played a video. It's like a 13-minute video that was giving us a foundation of what is considered a RICO. And they were presenting the information on the level of what an associate attorney, you know, just like when they're in law school. And based on what this video that I just showed, they are showing, well, the government is showing elements of a RICO. And based on what they're saying, like the Predicate Acts and the various things, yeah, they are showing us that, you know, there's some things that he did that would be considered RICO: kidnapping, trafficking, bribery, arson. They've shown us that. A lot of people think an RICO has to be more than one person. I'm understanding that's not the case. It has to be an enterprise, an organization, an entity. So somewhat of an organized crime, but it can be a one-person indictment. So basically, the way the government is outlining this and setting it up, I mean, it's pointing like it could be a RICO. But again, like, that's not my specialty. So I'm kind of relying on the you know, the experts to let me know, to kind of drive it, because the evidence is going back and forth. Though, if you're looking at it strictly from the standpoint of evidence, some things are debatable. Like Dawn Richardson, I mean, they shot. Her credibility was to some degree shot with the Nicole Westmoreland. I believe what Dawn said on the witness stand. I believed her, but the problem is that she said there were so many different versions of her testimony that she gave to the federal agents, that even though she may be being honest now, you've said different things. So that will say that maybe your testimony is not credible. And I'm understanding that some of the jurors were shaking their head and things like that too. So it's like a tennis match, you know, you kind of don't know up until the end. Mill says that will save him from life in prison. Deb's Diddy is the big fish. Yes, I agree with you. I think Diddy is the big fish. That's the one that they wanted. Because if not, there would be other co-conspirators or co-defendants, and that's not the case. They want Diddy. Christina says, I do believe that God has to take care of all of this. The judge can only do so much. He buys them. He has said that everyone has a price, so he don't know our Savior at all. I don't really get very religious on this channel. I do believe in God, but what I'm going to say is it had to be God to bring Cassie to this point, to all of the dirt that has been uncovered. It had to be something miraculous, because for so many years he got away with this, right? So I do believe it was just time where the Lord said, we're going to be done with this. Somebody going to pay. Now, I don't know the outcome, but just the fact that, you know, that it's being brought to the forefront. Deb F says, no, prosecution is going full force on Diddy. You don't think so? I mean, what do you mean by that? Raymond says he's definitely, I think he's going to do something. He's already done some time. I guess that's the point I was trying to make earlier. He thought that he was going to get bail. He thought his money was going to get him out. And that's why he was still doing his freak offs. I think that's why he even had all of that stuff at his hotel room. He had no intentions of, he thought he was going to bail out and be done, but that did not happen. He was sorely mistaken. Deb F says arson for sure. Well, see, that's the Kid Cudi component, but even though we suspect that he did do it, they haven't proven it. There was no police report filed. Diddy even denied it when Kid Cudi asked him, hey, what about my car? He's like, what are you talking about? So we can know or believe that he did it, but the evidence is still, at this point, is kind of circumstantial. Now, when Capricorn Clark comes in next week, she's coming in on Tuesday, allegedly. If she says, because they said, Brian Steele said, well, you do realize that when he was talking to Kid Cudi, the DNA found at the crime scene, you know, his car and stuff, was of a female DNA. And so I believe that Diddy, that doesn't make me not believe that Diddy did it, because all that makes me believe is that Diddy had somebody do it, and he had a female do it and probably paid him. So the only way we're probably going to definitively know that he did that is if Capricorn Clark gets on the stand and says he paid me or I did it, you know. And then even if she did do it, she could probably get immunity for telling. Leo Kanstanko says they destroyed General Patton too. Christina says, at Deb, awesome. I don't think he deserves any type of freedom at all after taking away innocent children's freedom that hadn't even started out yet. Odd Squad Media Group, shout out to you. Diddy is an enterprise. That's what they're proving. Yes. Diddy. I think it's under Bad Boys. I forget the enterprise. He definitely is the enterprise. So they've established the enterprise or an entity or an organization, and from a high level, a RICO is organized crime, part of a legal an entity, an organization. And yes, they are outlining that. The defense isn't fighting hard enough. The prosecution has bits and pieces of an egotistical freak, but haven't proven I always say to the letter of the law. That's the thing. Because, I mean, I was a litigation secretary, so I kind of look at, it doesn't matter what I really think. It's just like, what does the law state? That's kind of how it comes down. Who makes the best argument, right? Because even, I always say, even people who unalive people, they are defended, and they sometimes get off based on law, right? So it's kind of going to boil down to who has the best argument. And I agree with you. For the money that Diddy is paying, his one person, Xavier, he was doing cross, and I forget who he was crossing. He was getting minute details wrong, and it kind of pissed me off. Not because I'm siding with Diddy, but because in the legal field, you have to really pay attention to detail. That's part of our job. From any member of the legal team, the attorneys to the paralegals to the secretaries, and if you're getting paid, Diddy is paying millions of dollars. And for him to make some kind of little mistakes with times and numbers, I was just surprised, because you are supposed to be at the highest tier of a litigator at this point. You know what I'm saying? So I was just a little bit shocked. You know, now Nicole Westmoreland, she delivered. She's one of the best thus far. She's getting a lot of accolades because of the way she went in on Don. I mean, she wasn't playing. Estevio, and I think I said her name wrong. She was not as effective, in my opinion. Deb says, I sat in a jury twice and I wanted to yes, it does get boring. It does. And Tisa said the jury is paying attention to everything. Tisa's also saying that there were a couple people that have nodded. And I've heard people, I haven't been in the main courtroom, but there are other YouTubers that have been in there, and they said that there are points, especially after lunch, where people have been getting sleepy. You got to remember, we're going on into the second week. Last week was the second week. And yeah, it's a lot. When they get into like the legal minutia, some things they're very repetitive. You start losing people. Like they'll say, what kind of baby oil was it? What color was the top? And we're thinking, I'm exaggerating, but some things were like, you're wasting time. Like, we don't care. Was it baby oil? Okay, move on. Let's go to the next big detail. But they get down to the minutia for whatever reason. They're trying to establish something. And sometimes we can see where it's going, and then they give us the big aha. And then there are other times where they've spent time, and I'm talking about the cross. And it's like, what was your point with that? Because if fall short. I mean, Mark Agnifilo, he was crossing somebody, and I remember thinking, you're saying, oh, did you say this? And he never came back and showed us that the person had lied or something. It was like, it was kind of pointless. But so there are points in testimony where it gets boring for all of us. Maria says he must pay for all the hurt that he caused all those people. I think he's paying for it now. He's starting to sit in that court and realize that he's not the powerful person that he was. This man has had to ask, for certain clothes. He can't be in his suits. He don't get his baby oil. When you listen to the way he treated people, like, the kind of ketchup he wanted, how his toothbrush had to be positioned, like, it's like, come on, sir. He went overboard. I think there's just, like my daughter and I say, Icarus, you flew too close to the sun, sir. You did. You were so blessed and you went beyond what you should have. And what is that saying? To one much is given, one much is expected. You didn't use your blessings properly. You destroyed yourself. That's how I feel. Anyway, guys, I'm about to log off of here. It's been almost 2 hours. I appreciate. Let me give you guys a heart. Let me see. Thank you guys for joining. I'm giving you guys the heart. I appreciate everybody that came. I hope you guys will come back. If you aren't currently subscribed to my channel, I hope that you will be. Just to let you know, I will be going back to the trial. I am home right now, but I'll be going back there. I'm going to be digging into more information. Regardless of whose side you're on, Diddy or Cassie, I just kind of like to take a look at the raw data information, the complaints, and see, and talk about it from that perspective. I think hopefully you guys are leaving this video understanding better what a RICO is if you didn't. And maybe you have I don't know, maybe you see it's a RICO case or not. I don't know. But that was my goal for this video, to talk about what is technically a RICO and is this lining up to be a RICO. I'm going to say, based on the information that I've seen and heard, yes, they are establishing a RICO. So that's from what I'm understanding, this is moving towards a RICO for me, but maybe you feel differently. Mill says Diddy is technically a big fish. There are big, yes, absolutely, definitely, and if he gets convicted, I think that he possibly has information on other people, just like Epstein. He may want to be careful before he goes disappearing. Remember, Don said that he told people can disappear, so he may be the one disappearing next. Deb F says prosecution is going full force on Diddy. I am curious if feds were investigating Diddy before Cassie video broke and then moved fast because Diddy had to know an arrest was coming. So Diddy knew that he was going to be, he wasn't going to be arrested. So what happens in situations like this is that you turn yourself in. So he was supposed to turn himself in. When the indictment comes, they make I forget the proper term. They will tell your attorney, it's a courtesy that they will say, yeah, you're going to be arrested. There's an indictment. We're going to get you. But, they will give you the opportunity to turn yourself in. Diddy thought he was going to be to get bail. So he knew that there was going to be, when I say an arrest, he knew that he would be arrested, but he was supposed to turn himself in. So let's put it like that. But he also thought he would bail out, right? In terms of you saying, were the feds investigating Diddy before? There are articles on the internet. You guys can go look it up for yourself. I don't know if they're true or not. It could just be rumor. Everything we see on the internet does not mean it's true. And I know that to be a fact because I've reported on things that I found out later weren't true. There's a story that Jimmy Henchman, who was some kind of a drug person back in the day, was under indictment, and that the feds were questioning him about Diddy's relationships with younger or underage boys. Now that goes back to the late 1990s. So you guys can go look it up. So based on that and what people have said, Diddy has been on their radar, but maybe this is the first time. And then after the Me Too movement, with the laws changing about things that people have done 20 years ago and all of that. So it sounds like some people are saying that he has been on their radar. So you guys can go look up that Jimmy Henchman and feds and Diddy and underage boys. And that was back in the late 90s. I don't know if it's true, but that was something that was out there. Just the fact says, shouldn't Cassie be named as a co-conspirator? I believe there are 1 or 2 freak-offs that she's willing to participate in. So what we are surmising, and we don't know it to be fact-based, but based on what we're hearing about other witnesses, is that Cassie, and I believe it was in some paperwork. I like to make sure that I'm fact-based before I really put it out there, that Cassie is a confidential informant, which means that she could have possibly been named as a co-conspirator. She may have had a proffer agreement or been given immunity. And we're seeing that with a lot. Remember, we just saw that with the last guy that testified yesterday. So more than likely she was. There have been rumors that she would have been a co-conspirator based on some situations that occur with underage people. I don't know that that's a fact, but that's something that's been popping around the courtroom, right? From people that allegedly know. I don't know. So yeah, just the facts based on what we're hearing, she more than likely would have been, and that's why she's testifying. You guys got to remember, a lot of the people that are testifying have said on the stand they did not want to testify. So it's almost like you had no choice, right? Either you're going to testify or you're going to be sitting next to Diddy. So there you go. After Cassie got her money, if you guys recall, she said, I got my money. I'm no longer pursuing anything. Please let me and my husband live in peace. The next thing we know, she's participating in this situation, with the Fed. So yeah. Deb says, just the facts. Look up Stockholm Syndrome. Yeah, a lot of clinicians, therapists, psychologists are saying that she probably had Stockholm Syndrome. That's another thing. When Kid Cudi says that Cassie told Diddy where he lived and stuff like that, that is a part of a survival technique. Like, I don't feel like she just gave him up because she wanted to. She did it out of fear. Like, once he found out, in order for her not to get beat down bad, let me give you his information. Get this off of me and put it on the other person. That happens frequently. So many people said that even when they would tell Cassie, I think Don was one of the people that said when her and the other young lady, Kalina, would tell her to leave him, she would go back and tell Diddy. That was her. I'm not a person who can tell you about Stockholm Syndrome, but that's a survival technique for them, right? They go to their abuser and they tell on the other people trying to help them. That's brainwashing, right? That's crazy, but that's what they do. Yeah, she was afraid and he groomed her. Cassie has not been formally diagnosed with it, so that won't apply. Do we have medical? Well, good point. Just the facts. I mean, and you guys, here's the thing. That's a valid argument. People are throwing around, even like when people say that Diddy is a narcissist, that legally nobody has given him a clinical diagnosis of being a narcissist. That's what we're saying as lay people. So just the facts, touche. You're right about that. Yeah, this is all speculative. This is speculative. That's why the law is the law. It's fact-based. It's not our emotions. It's not what we feel. But that was a good call out, Just the Facts. You're absolutely right. Just the Fact says, if she was that afraid of Diddy, why did she go back to Diddy after dating Kid Cudi? Why was she having relations with Diddy with her husband FaceTiming them? Was she not afraid that, I mean, and you guys, respectfully to Just the Facts, a lot of people, I don't know if Just the Facts is a male or female, but that sentiment is being echoed throughout the courtroom. So what I say, hold on, you guys, real quick. Hold on 1 second. I got caught. What I say is, when I was a litigation secretary, what the attorneys would say is that the jurors are generally a reflection, or no, the people in the gallery that were sitting out in the audience, like we were, are generally a reflection of the jurors. So if people in the audience, those of us that are observing, have those thoughts, there's at least 1 or 2 people in the jury box that are feeling the same way. So just the facts, just as you said, there are people in the courtroom with us that are that have the same sentiment that you just expressed. So y'all, you know, we gotta understand everybody does not think the same, and we just have to respect each other and agree to disagree. And that's why it is literally a court. That's what the court is here for the judge and the jury to decide, because everybody is not going to think the same. It's just the way it is. Deb says, read Stockholm Syndrome. No, this doesn't have to be diagnosed by a doctor. He groomed that poor girl. It's been brought up. Diddy beat her all the time. Yes, you're right. But if they use Stockholm Syndrome as, you know, if they use it as a legal basis or something, they would have to be able to establish it as a fact, which would probably be from a doctor. I mean, that's just kind of how it works, though. Just the Fact says, last but not least, was she not afraid of having a relationship with Diddy's personal trainer? I mean, again, just the facts, though, those are things that people are saying. Like, to your point, the fact that she was with Kid Cudi allegedly, still sleeping with Diddy, and not just being with Diddy, but doing the freak offs that she claims that she didn't want to do. So, I mean, but when you got people that are confused like that, you got to remember Cassie was heavily on drugs too. So some of the things that she did was probably to keep up her drugs, you know, because Diddy would supply her with drugs. So there, it could, the argument could be made that she did a lot of it just to, you know, supply her drug abuse. So, and honestly, I don't understand the mind of somebody who goes through that kind of abuse. I don't. I've never been that person. Yeah, but I'll give her grace. I'm going to say that, you know, because at first I was like, a lot of people like, well, she went back. She stayed with him for 10 years. But as I started hearing more and listening to her testimony, like she actually went through trauma therapy. One of the places that she went for, you know, she went to rehab for drugs. There's also, they also treat love addiction. So I think it's a very complex thing, and the mind is very complex. So, I don't know. Christina says, baby oil. I think it's actually oil from a baby's brain stem. High energy comes from birth, as well as the cheese on pizza. I've never heard that before. I learn something new every day. I think Diddy has and just wait, what is it? Just the Facts. I'm not a clinician, so I'm just saying, I think he has some kind of obsessive compulsive behavior, because the way that he needed that baby oil, and what we found out so far, it was not laced with drugs. It's compulsive. It's like he had to travel with it, multiple bottles. Like when he went places, baby oil was something that he had to have. And it's kind of odd to me. Like I'm obsessive about like you know, a hand sanitizer. Like when I travel, I got to make sure I have it. I'm trying to get better, because it can be a lot. But like Howie Mandel, like he's a germaphobe. But Diddy, this thing with the baby oil, that's kind of like, whoa. Deb, you know what? I'm not consistently on every day. I'm really trying to be. I don't typically do lives as much as I should. I usually do pre-records because I'm just more comfortable doing that. But I'm trying. Since I've gone to the trial, it's interesting because I'm looking at it from a legal perspective. I used to do the documents, the pleadings that the attorneys, are filing and stuff like this. So it's just really intriguing for me. And then I view it like, I try not to get emotionally. I try to be objective. I really do try to be objective, because generally most of us look at law based on our emotions. And when the jury makes their decision, the judge is going to give them the law instructions, and he's going to ask them to be objective and to just decide the case based on the letter of the law. And I'm going to tell you, most people can't, right? We just can't, because we're human, Odd Squad Media Group says, go Knicks, have a great evening, everyone. Awesome. Thank you, Odd Squad Media Group. Thank you for joining. Odd Squad, if you have a channel, you guys go follow Odd Squad Media Group. Check him or her out. Deb said, yeah, that's why he went to New York. Deb, why do you say he went to New York for what? Why? Tisa said he's starting to have, yeah. They're saying that, yeah, they have, you know how they have the sketch artist? At first, he was kind of beaming. He'd be, throw the little love sign to the family. And another thing is that for this week, his family hasn't been there every day. What we had heard is that the girls are going through graduation and prom. So, I think the first week I was there. Hold on, you guys, I got a cough. I'm sorry. My voice gets a little dry, right? So the first week, we would see all of the kids there. His mom, I think I told you guys a million times, a couple of times that we were going into security. We would see the family. There was one day in particular where I was pretty much walking like right beside the mom and one of her assistants or cousins or some other mature woman, and they set the mother down, you guys, and they actually patted her wig. I was totally shocked and stunned because the woman is like in her, I'm going to say 70s. I don't know her age, but you could tell like she's kind of, her gait is off. She doesn't walk very well. She looks older. So I just didn't understand the point in them patting her wig down, but they did. Like we were right, me, her, I was with the two ladies, like we were going in at the same time. They let me through, but they stopped her and they patted her wig down. And I was so close, I could tell, like, it looks like she's had some kind of a medical condition. I don't know. Maybe she's on medication, but she looked very frail and fragile and just not good. This is probably stressing her out. And so then another piece of information on my way home, because I was coming back to California and I flew United. Y'all know I'm broke, child. So I got to fly commercial. Diddy's folks be flying private jets, okay? Well, one of the young ladies, I would just happen to talk to her, and I was telling her I was out there for the case. And she was telling me that Diddy's mom, because I left out of Jersey, she was telling me that, she said, oh yeah, I saw his mom. I was rolling her, I did the, whatever they call it, where they're doing the handicap chair. She said, I had her a week ago. And I said, oh, she must've been coming to the hearing. And she goes, I guess. And she told me that she is medically challenged. And allegedly, y'all, this is not my word. Somebody told me if I need to go back to the airport and go do my due diligence, and I'm just repeating what I was told. And she said that that his mom was traveling alone. And I said, well, did she have a companion? And she said no. And so I guess that's why the person was wheeling her around. And I was stunned and shocked because at her age, the way that I saw her that day, she had someone with her. She should not be flying alone. She seemed very out of sorts, a little confused. And I'm just a little bit surprised that his mother would be flying commercial by herself. So I don't know if it's true, y'all, but that's what I heard. Christina says, RICO, racketeer, influence, corrupt organizations. Yes, Christina, we just went over a video to try to explain what it is, because some people don't think that Diddy's case rises to a RICO. So yeah, we went over that. Cutie one, hey Cutie one, thank you, I appreciate that. Thanks for all you do. You and Max are doing. Thank you. I'm trying to be focused, you guys. And yes, and shout out to Max. He made sure that we got to court on time, because you guys know I'm not from there. I try to be focused and do my research before I get on here and speak to the things that are fact-based. And then you guys, of course, make your own decisions, and we talk about it. And so the next thing that I want to go through is to compare her original complaint with what they're saying in terms of this whole freak off, that video, because this case hinges very heavily on that hotel case at the Intercontinental Hotel. But I got to go back and read that before we get into a discussion about it. Kat says he's struggling to control his bowels in the courtroom. Yeah, he said he was nervous. He said he was nervous. Another thing that we learned is that they have a really long day. So if we're in court by 9 o'clock or 8:30, between 8:30 and 9, the inmates that come to the courtroom, they got to get up like at about 5, and they got to be ready by 6 a.m. and they sit and wait. So he's got a very long day. And the judge said that, that they have been getting him out of court too late, because he's at the MDC. And so he has a long day. He only gets to take breaks, when they break for lunch and stuff like that, I guess, unless he has to go to the bathroom. But yeah, he's not doing so good. Okay, Mills, go enjoy your dinner. Let's see, it's only 5:00 here, so I'm gonna go eat soon too. I don't know what I'm gonna have, y'all. I need to lose some weight, so that's the next thing on my list. Deb F says Beaver said Lord spell correct. Justin Bieber is a whole nother story. I think Justin Bieber's not a part of this case so far. We don't know, but what was done to him is very sad, because I feel like the industry, along with Diddy and others, allegedly, I feel like they destroyed this kid. I feel like they did things outside of, it sounds like he came from a troubled home, right? And he was talented, and I feel like they took advantage of him, and it's sickening. It's disgusting. I feel more for Justin, because he literally was underage, and he was just turned over to wolves. And now he's struggling, just like Cassie. Like, all of these people have suffered some kind of mental trauma. They'll never be the same. Look at, the drug abuse, the mental breakdowns and stuff. Life is hard enough, even when if you think you're playing with a full deck. I'm not playing with a full deck, you guys. But even if you try, life is hard. And so I just think Justin got a really raw deal. I do. Yeah, I hate that his mother, his parents weren't more involved, because it looks like the industry, I'm not just going to say Diddy, but it just looks like they took him in and just did whatever, he didn't have the protection of a parent to just say, oh God, yeah. Christina says, yep, I heard something about that when Will Smith testified. I really think he was trying to get ahead of the game, knowing he was going to be next. A lot of celebrities will be throwing it. Yeah. I don't think Diddy is the only one. There's a lot. No, Will Smith has not testified at the Diddy case. That must be something else. Yeah, he has not testified here. Christina says that cat laughing my butt off. The trial. I wish it was televised too, because I read the tweets after, and there's just nuances and things that don't come across or get conveyed, like certain times when the courtroom is gasping, or when the person, you might hear that they answer something, but the body language says a lot too, like when they get tense and they get a little bit spicy, like because they're getting caught up into something, or they don't want to answer, like you get to see a lot, because what do they say? There's a lot of unspoken, what is it, y'all? I'm getting tired myself, but there's, when there's unspoken language, or what, y'all know what I'm saying. Y'all know what I'm saying. Like, even though it's not, you don't say it, but it could be shown in your face, or, the emotions or how you feel. That. Kat says they are sick. Kat says because he was going to unalive Kid Cudi and anyone else, that he got her back. Christina says Stockholm Syndrome. They end up protecting. Yes, that, man, I got to sit, man, that's what I know. That's so true. Children that go through custody cases operate in the same way. Yeah, so I'm familiar with that. Deb said jurors are gonna poor jurors going broke sitting from this trial. The jurors are going to be able to do stories, though. Some of them can write books, because I know they have jurors who have monetized off of stuff like this, because it's so much of, hold on, you guys, let me cough real quick. I'm going to read what Suburbia said. The Suburbia Jones Effect. Welcome to the chat. Please hit the chat button or the like button when you come in. Suburbia says Stockholm Syndrome. That had to do with the bank robbery where people sympathize with their captors. Their captors never abused them, just didn't let them leave. Example. Okay, so Suburbia Effect. Stockholm Syndrome is now a term that is used medically in the medical field to you know, a term can be used even though it's not necessarily the exact situation, but that term is now used in medical situations. Well, should I say medical or therapists? They use that term to explain why people who have been abused by their captors or abusers still love them or are still loyal to them. It happened with the young lady in that case somewhere in Ohio or somewhere, where it was 3 girls that were captured, and the one lady was literally diagnosed with Stockholm Syndrome. So that particular term, Stockholm, has evolved, and maybe you should go look it up. And I'm not saying that to be rude, but they use that now to explain why some people still have an affinity or protect the people that have abused them. Kat says that this is not a trial between Cassie and Diddy. You're right about that. Cassie is not on trial. Christina says, at Kat, thanks. I needed that. Not controlling his files is actually the very least of his problems. You know, when people are talking about him, based on what we're hearing about how in control he was, like they talked about one of his assistants one day was laughing at something. The whole room was laughing. Like Diddy could be hot and cold, and then all of a sudden he turns on like, what the F you laughing at? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I can imagine him having to sit through and hear people talk about him in his presence, and he cannot go and knock their block off and knock them around like he did Cassie. I know he's pissed. He is not in control. He has to adhere to that judge and rules of the court. And he's not used to doing that. He is used to telling everybody what to do. And I know that's got to be hard for him. Okay, you guys. I've been on 2 hours, and I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you guys. When you guys hit the like button, that helps me with the algorithm. And somebody, y'all mentioned Tisa. I used to follow Tisa back in the day. I still do follow her, so I'm not saying like that. But I remember Tisa when she used to do the tarot readings or the readings. She actually gave me a reading, right? So I had a chance to talk to her. And yeah, she's a wonderful lady. She's really nice. Tisa blew up overnight, y'all. So that's my Tisa story. But all of the content creators, like, they're coming together and being very cool with each other. And a shout out to the infamous Sylvia. And y'all, I'm going to sign off, but I will be back. So y'all take care. Wait, Kat said one thing. Let me go see. I got to see this one last thing Kat said. At Christina Goodard, straight gross. And I'm a nurse, 15 years, and I can't believe people are asking about Cassie's guilt. Yeah, Kat. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some people see it differently. They do. But y'all all have a safe evening. FYI, I will be back out there in the courtroom with Max. Kat said when they arrested y'all just keep putting stuff in the chats. I can't get off. I got FOMO, fear of missing out. I got to read everything. You said when they arrested, yes, that we were still shocked that he was still trying to have a freak off, because he had the freak off set up, the lights and everything. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna sign off. Oh, Deb, stop it, Deb. Deb says, I think they unalive Kim Porter. A lot of people believe that too. The Suburbia Effect says, I really don't want to hear nothing about baby oil. It was supposed to be tainted with drugs that would knock women out so he could take advantage of them. No, it was just used for, it was the Suburbia Effect. What we're finding out now is that it wasn't laced, and he has some kind of a obsession, obsessive compulsive thing with this baby oil, because the way that it has to be everywhere with him is very strange, right? Kat says her gait may be off, but she needs to be in. I could care less about her gait. No, I'm just saying she could barely walk, guys. This woman is old. She just looked confused. Because I was standing behind them when we were doing the security check-in, and the guy was getting flustered. He was getting frustrated because she was her. She was just confused with her, because they take your phones and stuff. They don't want us using the phones. And I was trying to explain to her companion you guys have to turn in this or she's not going to get her stuff back correctly. They were just confused. And I was like, whatever, whatever. I don't know. Because I left. So I don't know what happened. She was just like confused. Like she don't know what's going on, you know. And I just feel for her because she is older. And I have heard horror stories about her too, but you know. Kat says his mother is looking frail, doesn't account for her crimes, and she's evil to me. She has many artist music rights, yeah. But he gonna pay for some of that stuff. Okay, y'all. Y'all all have a blessed evening, and we shall be back with more drama from the Diddy trial. I gotta go do some. There's a lot of stuff that I haven't been able to talk about, so we got a lot to talk about. You know, I ain't gonna lie. I told you guys. I said I'm like Beyonce's daughter, Rumi too. I was just so excited seeing people and stuff. I wasn't on my grind the way I needed to be, you guys. I'm going to say YouTube starstruck. I'm like, oh, hey, hi, blah, 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 right? So I got to go back and go through my notes and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, Usher did see some things. Cassie said, and they didn't do anything. I'm so disappointed and shocked by some of this. Okay, Christina, I will look into Will Smith, but I can guarantee you Will Smith has not testified at this particular hearing. We have not had any celebrity testimony thus far. Now, it's possible that Will Smith did like an affidavit or something, you know, where they gave an oral statement under penalty of perjury. Maybe he testified that way, or maybe he even spoke to the feds, but it has not been entered in evidence and it's not been discussed yet. So, but I'll you know, and I will confer with other YouTubers to see if I missed anything, but I have not heard that. Yeah. Always Unique by Jen. Welcome to the chat. You said, did Will Smith? Yeah, I haven't seen anything that he said. I heard nobody was expecting it, but the judge hints buying them. He told some truth. Yeah, I don't know that Will Smith made any. Will Smith has not been in that witness stand as far as a testimony. So, but I will cross-reference notes with other YouTubers to see if I missed something. But yeah, he has not even been a mention as far as I can say. Def Tisa tells. So you're saying Tisa said, wait, are you saying Tisa said Will Smith testified? Because he hasn't. Yeah. Okay, y'all, I'm going to sign off. Y'all take care. Christina, you take care. Deb, F, you take care too. I don't know. Wait, who was a bad parent? Who was a bad parent? Deb, who was a bad parent? You got to let me know. Deb, you leaving me hanging, ma'am. Who was a bad parent? I know I'm going to say Justin Bieber's mom may not have been the best parent because I feel like she didn't look after him, but I heard that she was on drugs. So I don't know. Okay, y'all, I just gotta go. Because if I don't, I'm gonna be up here with you guys all night. So hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. Y'all have a good evening. Bye.